Rose found herself in the company of Aldrich and a gathering of other nobles at the tower. 2 scribes, armed with quills and notepads, stood ready to capture the unfolding events. Everyone stood with bated breath and watchful eyes as history was happening before them. There were 4 people, 2 couples, shivering in the jail cells in front of them. Rose looked at them, completely overwhelmed. If what Duke Elegy said was true, 2 deaths were going to be on her hands. "These are the people claiming to be your parents, Rose. Naturally, I have been quite skeptical of their authenticity, so I had them all thoroughly interrogated. Ambassador Magnus's prior confirmation did little to ease my doubts. We need you to speak to anything you might remember about your real parents." Rose, who had learned to be obedient when it served her, looked at the couple that Duke Elegy had brought into her life.
I think these are my parents.
Aldrich let out a deep sigh as the noble couple began crying. To those looking on, it seemed like joy at being reunited, but Rose knew the tears came from a sense of relief. Their lives were to be spared. "You do not know how long we've been searching for you, daughter."
Oh, how you must have suffered.
It was a truly emotional reunion. The scribes' hands quickly flew over their notebooks, and several noble onlookers were dewy-eyed. Whether the crowd believed the nobles, or they were too fearful to demand proof, everyone took the moment for what it was meant to be. Touching. "Open the cell door."
Mother! Father!
The parents, whose names were William and Martha, ran from their cell to embrace Rose. Once the embrace had ceased, and Rose was sure the scribes had enough tender moments to share with the common people, they all began to calm down.
Please, join me in my quarters.
As Rose led the way, Aldrich covertly stopped the couple out of her view. "If you are found to be frauds, keep in mind that your necks will be on the execution stand." The couple's eyes were wide with fright, but they nodded and scurried ahead to catch up with Rose. As Duke Elegy advised, she would treat them just like her parents, at least for now. When they arrived in front of her chambers, Rose stiffened as she caught sight of Viscount Rothescue. She would never get used to seeing such a despicable man, especially since he was attacked by Lord Oscar. His mangled face and severe limp matched his exterior to his interior. They were now both rotten.
I did not summon you, Viscount Rothescue. Please find someone else to torment.
I came as your guardian. Who are these people with you?
What makes you my guardian? Perhaps you do not notice that I am accompanied by my true parents? You never should have been my guardian, and you never will be. You have no power over me.
So, these are the ones claiming to be your parents. How stupid are you?
I will not argue with you.
You stand with frauds!
My parents are not frauds!
Both Rose and Viscount Rothescue found themselves shocked at the sheer nerve she had. She had never stood up to him before, and the Viscount became purple with rage. The couple cowered behind Rose, fearful for their well-being and fragile position. Rose shoved the Viscount to the side and welcomed the couple into her room. Martha, Rose's new mother, looked at Rose with concern. She was not her real mother, but she was a gentle woman.
Are you all right, dear? I'm fine. Please, sit down. I apologize. Do not concern yourselves with Viscount Rothescue. He will disappear like any other plague. Your cooperation in this matter will certainly help to see to that. You said your names are Martha and...
William, and we would like to thank you, Miss Rose, for saying that we were your real parents.
As they got to know each other, Rose was moved by their warmth and kindness. It was a type of unconditional acceptance that she had perhaps never seen before. She was as game as anyone to participate in this role-playing, but she began to ache with the realization that she wished they actually were her real parents.
I do not know how much Duke Elegy shared about our story, but we actually did lose our daughters. Both of them.
One child would have been the same age as you, Miss Rose. The second is a few years younger. We are still looking for them, but we are losing hope.
Our home was attacked by a group of bandits, and our daughters were taken. We have not heard from them since. We live our lives in both hope and fear of finding out what happened to them.
In this decades-long search, we have extinguished nearly the entirety of our fortune.
Martha looked at Rose knowingly and held her hand tightly as she leaned forward.
This is an opportunity for us to regain our stability. This tips the balance away from fear, towards hope. Thank you, Miss Rose. I am an orphan, but if I could have anything in the world, it would be to have parents like you.
With that, the hours went by like seconds as they continued to get to know each other. They asked Rose questions as though they cared about her. Rose opened up to them more freely than she had with anyone she could remember. She cried and hugged her fake parents, more real to her than she could have hoped. Being loved by these people filled her heart, and she let her guard down, for better or worse. Viscount Rothescue, consumed by bitterness, paced his entryway, contemplating the rejection he faced from Rose. His resentment grew as he realized she had the upper hand, fueled by the consequences he suffered on her behalf.
Assaulted, attacked, maimed, all while she covers up who she is and enjoys the spoils of noble life. This is unacceptable. I must take matters into my own hands. Miss Rose will fall from grace.
Oscar, a figure of masculinity and brute force, finally arrived in the capital of the Celestial Isles. Passing through the grand palace gates, he garnered attention and whispers from the onlookers. In just a few days, the celestial knight who escorted Oscar had fallen under his captivating spell, as most do when Oscar has any interest in being liked. Despite rumors portraying Oscar as a notorious rogue, the man discovered a more nuanced truth.
If I were a lady, I would certainly fall in love with you, Lord Oscar.
Why do you need to be a lady? Go ahead, be in love with me. Who isn't?
Your humor is relentless. I do not know why your reputation is one to be feared, rather than one to be loved. I actually have a sister who resembles me. She's not yet married.
All right, good man. Send her my way. I will think of you the whole time I am with her. It appears we have arrived.
Lord Oscar! Lord Oscar! Not that way! Come back! Allow me to lead you in!
To his dismay, the knight had been charmed by Oscar too easily. He had gotten him where he needed to go, and now Oscar had no use for him. To Oscar's surprise, King Henry was already waiting for him at the gates.
I wonder, why is King Henry so eager to meet with me?
Lord Oscar, allow me to present King Henry I of the Celestial Isles.
The escort dropped his playful demeanor and introduced King Henry. Oscar, in response, executed a perfect bow with gentlemanly grace. The man, once skeptical of Oscar's suitability for the Troby family, observed the unfolding scene.
Good work, my dear knight. You may go.
King Henry, eager for a private audience with Oscar, observed his brother-to-be with anticipation. Outwardly calm, Oscar was inwardly surprised by the king's evident anticipation of his arrival.
Your Majesty.
Before Oscar could utter another word, an unexpected turn of events unfolded.
Elder brother, it is my humble honor. What? Why in the name of the gods do you address me as brother?
But King Henry met his incredulity with a gesture towards the door and a friendly smile.
Kindly enter first. We can converse after you've had a chance to refresh yourself. I must say, you bear a striking resemblance to your sister.
King Henry retained his regal, nonchalant attitude, but inwardly he was in turmoil. He had not truly considered what to do once Oscar arrived in the Celestial Isles. He had simply wanted to gain favor from the Troby family and Bronwyn herself. But now this man needed an explanation as well. He clearly had no knowledge of their marriage agreement. Oscar was stunned into silence. Why did this foreign king call him brother?
Ah, here we are.
The chamber prepared for Oscar was comfortable, spacious, and opulent. Soft beige interiors, furniture crafted with utmost precision, and a bathtub adorned with rose petals awaited him. Even the clothes laid out for him were the appropriate size. After Oscar washed and changed into the red satin robes left for him, he followed a chambermaid into the dining room, where he was told King Henry awaited.
I thought the color red would suit you, brother. Your Majesty, I apologize, but you keep calling me brother. Let me clarify. Honestly, I do not quite know how to express this. It has to do with your sister, Bronwyn.
Oscar reached for his cup of water and began to drink.
Yes, I have committed to marrying her. What in the devil's name?
Out of his front pocket, King Henry retrieved a handkerchief and handed it to Oscar. But before he took it, Oscar noticed the initials embroidered on it.
Is that Bronwyn's handkerchief? Yes. My father gave it to her as a gift. I recognize the embroidery.
King Henry smiled, turning slightly red in the cheeks.
So it came from my future father-in-law, and then from the Queen to me. It may surprise you to hear that Her Majesty the Queen proposed to me first. And what compelled you to accept?
Oscar blinked, astonished by the simplicity of King Henry's answer.
I love her. You claim to love my sister, King Henry. Is this true? Yes. I accepted her offer immediately.
King Henry's declaration stunned Oscar, forcing him to reassess his impression of the young king. In Oscar's eyes, King Henry instantly went from scoundrel king to a sovereign ruler with excellent judgment. He felt a surge of pride. The young king had a handsome face and a charismatic aura that would complement his younger sister well. However, a sliver of doubt lingered within him.
Rumors circulate that you are a notorious womanizer.
Oscar's eyes narrowed in suspicion. King Henry swiftly addressed his thoughts.
I assure you I am not. I may appear that way, but that is intentional. It is merely part of my image. I have never crossed that line. Intentional?
King Henry, reluctant to delve into this aspect, decided not to explain. The reasons behind his playboy persona were confidential. It was a strategic facade for war preparations and to appear less qualified compared to his brother. So when he remained silent, Oscar steered the conversation.
What is the next step in the marriage process? Are you sure she is getting divorced? Therein lies the problem, brother. Listen while you eat.
Oscar held his tongue and decided to allow King Henry to keep calling him brother, although there was something quite off about this whole situation.
All right. Queen Bronwyn and I frequently communicate by messenger bird. Messenger bird? Yes. But as I was taking a bath, I received some troubling news. I believe King Aldrich noticed that the Queen and I were in communication.
King Henry's face darkened.
We cannot communicate directly this way anymore, and I am worried. I need to find another way. Do you have a plan in mind?
King Henry's expression was grave. Oscar set down his fork and studied the young king carefully. He did not know much about King Henry. This was their first meeting. To Oscar, King Henry did not act like a frivolous man. The king seemed genuinely concerned for Bronwyn, and even if it was love from a womanizer, at least it was love. That's more than he could say for Aldrich.
Being queen is not merely holding a seat. I witnessed Bronwyn's journey from a child who watched others play to a determined young woman aspiring to become queen. She could not play because she had to be the queen. She could not eat because she had to be the queen. She had to endure it all because she had to be queen. Bronwyn sacrificed her childhood for her future dream, enduring pain and hardship. I can only imagine how much pain she would experience being ousted from the throne without any wrongdoing. It is for her that I will agree to help. I have an idea. That's wonderful, brother. What is it? My friend, Marquis Faring, lives right outside the capital. He can accept the letters. Ah, I can send letters to him. He will not look at the contents. You can send messages to Bronwyn through him.
With a newfound hope, King Henry and Oscar continued their discussion, forging an alliance to support Bronwyn in her struggle for the throne. Little did they know, their collaboration would set in motion a series of events that would shape the fate of the Celestial Isles and its ties to Elisaria.
Everyone was speaking as though Rose were a living miracle. A living fairy tale, they were calling her. The commoner concubine had found her lost parents. If Rose ascended to the position of queen, there would be even greater public fixation. A knot formed in my stomach. What if the people, my people, rejoiced at her coronation? It hurt too much to contemplate. So I turned my thoughts to figuring out a way to communicate with King Henry. The best plan I had was to borrow Marquis Faring's messenger bird. As I deliberated over my options, the man I had been thinking of came to see me. Well, speak of the devil and he shall appear. Hello, Marquis Faring. My old friend smiled at me and handed me a sealed parchment.
I have a delivery for you.
A letter from King Henry? But how did you get this?
I was asked by Oscar.
My brother.
He asked me not to read it and to deliver it quickly.
I shook off my amazement and accepted the envelope. I broke open the wax seal and quickly pulled out the letter.
I would like to hear more from you. I cannot wait to move forward with our plans. I met your brother. He looks strikingly similar to you. I miss you. What kind of room would you like? What colors do you like? Let me know, and I will furnish your room in advance.
My worries temporarily faded away. I gave a soft chuckle. King Henry had a skill for making me feel at ease.
Seems like it is a good letter.
Oh, yes, indeed. I was so distracted by my letter that I forgot Marquis Faring was still standing there. He gave me a playful grin.
The messenger bird is still in my home, so I will send your return as quickly as you hand it to me.
Was it a silver bird, perhaps?
Yes, I put him in a feeder, so he should be eating right now.
I nodded, but then paused. Feeder? I remembered how Majesty was revolted at the sight of bugs. Could it be the same bird? Or was this one more ordinary?
Your Majesty? You do not look well.
Marquis Faring looked at me anxiously. Is the silver bird injured?
I did not look closely, but one wouldn't use an injured bird as a messenger, right? You must like birds.
Can you check if the bird is injured? If it has an arrow wound?
That will not be difficult.
I have another strange request.
Yes, Your Majesty.
If the silver bird hasn't eaten anything at all, would you mind removing him from the feeder?
Why? Do you know this bird?
Marquis Faring looked at me in complete puzzlement. I think I might.
Well, sure. You are right that it is a strange request, though.
Marquis Faring nodded. Relieved, I went to my desk, took out some stationery and dipped my pen in the inkwell. I should reply to King Henry's letter.
I heard Oscar may be in the Celestial Isles for some time. I hear that King Henry likes to live freely and unapologetically, so Oscar may get along with him more than King Aldrich.
I certainly hope so.
Do not worry too much. If Oscar knows how to do one thing, it's to take care of himself. Are you finished with your reply? I had better get going.
Already? I turned back to my paper and scribbled my reply. The king wants to leave me and remarry his concubine. I overheard him promising to divorce me. I looked to move quickly given the circumstances. I am amazed that you met my brother. I want to see you as well. I like the colour gold. It is warm, like you. I folded the letter and held it out for Marquis Faring, who was leisurely sitting upon my couch and drinking a cup of tea. Marquis Faring smiled, waving the letter in his hand as he left. When he was gone, I sat by the window, feeling a little better. It was good to be in contact with King Henry again. It seemed the silver bird was also safe. Left alone, I became lost in thought, something that had become common for me these days. What will I do when I get to the Celestial Isles? My first attempt as queen had been difficult. Would the second time be better? I was confident in my work and my long career. It was my personal relationships that had been tumultuous. I was also the queen of another country, and I would be at the centre of curious talk. It was difficult to determine whether my union with Henry would lead to political exclusion or a better situation. My face turned red as I stared into the distant sky. But fortunately, I was interrupted as I heard Countess Eliza calling me from the parlour room. Your Majesty! Come in, Eliza. Judging by the expression on Countess Eliza's face, the news did not seem to be good. What's going on? I felt my heart skip a beat. Countess Eliza pressed her clenched hand against her chest. and spoke angrily. They say it is false that Rose's fake parents were brought by Baron Lant. What do you mean, false? Now they are saying it was Lord Oscar who ordered them to act as fake parents. But that's impossible. I nearly choked. If my brother had bribed them, then Baron Lant could not have done it. Laura, who was knitting in the parlour room, gave an outraged yell. This is nonsense! Get me my cloak, Lady Laura. Laura quickly went to my bedroom to retrieve the cloak and placed it around my shoulders. To find out what happened, I will need to speak to the couple myself. Thunder crashed as I hurried out of my chambers.
Rose was seated at an immaculate ivory desk, a pristine notebook unfurled before her. She held a pale, feathered quill in her hand. Her silver hair gracefully descended as she inclined her head in concentration, a vision of angelic purity in her white gown. King Aldric's gaze betrayed no admiration as he observed the cherubic Rose. Displeasure etched his countenance as he watched her work. Rose nervously entwined her hands, casting him a gaze brimming with innocence. Their eyes converged, and she presented him her most pleading, doe-eyed expression, yet Aldric remained unmoved. Continue writing. Tears began to well in Rose's eyes.
Your Majesty!
You have not even filled a third of it yet. Continue. Rose set down her quill.
I have not memorized it all yet. There is too much, Your Majesty.
These are merely the fundamentals. A queen must memorize the names of officials in the realm, their titles, families, departments, and responsibilities, not to mention their peculiarities.
I know, but I have only read the book for 4 days.
The massive book, bestowed upon her by her tutor, demanded memorization within a mere week. The expectation to memorize an entire volume of utterly boring information within such a short period was overwhelming, if not impossible. Rose was reaching her breaking point. Aldrich simply directed her to open a blank notebook and transcribe everything she had memorized. His expectations, she thought, were preposterous. This book requires perhaps 1 or 2 days only for memorization.
Is that even possible?
I memorized it within a day. Rose bit her lip, embarrassed.
You are extraordinary, Your Majesty. No one else can accomplish it.
The Queen also accomplished it within a day. Aldrich was not intending to mock Rose, but the implications of her inadequacy intensified her embarrassment and shame.
Even now I am learning quickly. I did not have the same access as the Queen. I only just learned to write, Your Majesty. I differ from the Queen. She has been engrossed in scholarly pursuits since childhood.
Rose, that may be an acceptable excuse under usual circumstances, but not now. Do you understand?
Yes, I comprehend.
You need not delve into the advanced curriculum. Merely the fundamentals. Memorize 1 chapter each day. Then, when you ascend to the role of queen, you shall be equipped to manage elementary duties.
1 chapter a day?
It is feasible if you dedicate yourself to study all day. Frustration welled within her, and Rose burst into tears. Aldrich was taken aback. Aldrich let out a weary sigh. If Rose were to remain solely as his concubine, he would not need to force her into acquiring such knowledge. However, she had to assume the role of queen for a year. He did not anticipate her excelling, but she needed to grasp the fundamentals at the very least. I shall revisit the matter tomorrow, so please do not cry. Rose's sobs intensified at the mention of tomorrow, and her maid, Cheryl, promptly extended a handkerchief. Aldrich accepted it and wiped Rose's tears. When Rose ceased weeping, he placed the handkerchief down and commended Cheryl. Your servant demonstrates great consideration on this occasion. Rose glanced toward Cheryl, startled by Aldrich's commendation. The maid blushed and shook her head. Witnessing this, Rose's sobbing quickly subsided, replaced by concern. She wondered why the maid always blushed when encountering Aldrich. The king was hers. She narrowed her eyes at Cheryl. At that moment, a messenger arrived and approached Aldrich.
Your Majesty, the Queen is on her way to the tower.
Aldrich had been gazing at the half-filled notebook, but he frowned upon hearing mention of the tower. That was where the fake parents, procured by Baron Lant, were detained. The Queen must have heard the rumor that it was Oscar who bribed the couple. If she engaged in any meaningful conversation with them, she might uncover Aldrich's own involvement. Leaving Rose alone with the notebook stained with tears, Aldrich left urgently.
As I entered the tower, the guards, who were dozing in the corridor, suddenly leapt up from their wooden chairs. They exchanged sheepish glances as they noticed my presence. At ease, guards. Continue your rest. I am here but for a brief moment. Can you please point me in the direction of the couple that Baron Lant brought here?
They're over there, Your Majesty.
A guard pointed to the far end of the hallway. The couple, alerted by my footsteps, peered through the bars, glancing at each other upon seeing me. The sight angered me. They may be in trouble because of Rose, but dragging my brother, entirely unrelated to this case, infuriated me. Hail to the Queen!
Greetings, Your Majesty.
The couple greeted me, but I did not return the courtesy, proceeding to interrogate them. Did my brother order you to pretend to be fake parents? Their complexions paled, and they lowered their eyes.
Yes, he did. Your Majesty's brother, Lord Oscar, threatened us. We had no choice.
I quelled my rising anger and spoke as calmly as I could. Do you know what my brother looks like? His eyes are green. No. They looked at each other in dismay.
But I am sure.
He has dark blue eyes. You do not even know the color of my brother's eyes, do you? Did you really meet him? They exchanged glances, and the husband quickly corrected himself.
On second thought, they were blue. We were confused because we saw him in the dark.
I see. And his hair color?
It was black.
It was blonde. Was it so dark that you saw his hair color wrong? I think it was black. We could not see it properly because he was wearing a hat. Watching them speak was a completely absurd exercise. My brother had green eyes and dark blonde hair like me. But this, blue eyes and black hair, they had never even met my brother. I heard someone clear their throat and turned to see who was standing behind me. There was my husband, cowering in the shadows, where he belonged, I thought to myself. Did you hear that, Your Majesty? They have never even seen my brother.
You're pressuring them, so they're speaking nonsense.
Pressuring them?
Yes. You stood there and told them the wrong eye color to confuse them.
I glanced back towards the husband and wife. The couple, who had initially been unaware of Aldrich's presence, looked suddenly frightened when they heard his voice. My brother has red hair and red eyes. So are you saying you lied because you were afraid of me? Yes, Your Majesty, we were afraid and lied. Lord Oscar has red hair and red eyes. I I raised my eyes towards Aldrich, whose face was as stiff as a stone statue. I hoped that he would not deny the glaringly obvious lies spun by that couple. Instead of acknowledging my point, however, Aldrich flatly dismissed it.
If the Queen insists on calling a soybean a red bean, then most people will call it a red bean.
The moment I beheld his resolute expression, his intentions became clear. The veracity of the couple's words held no significance for him. This was his chance to divorce me scot-free. If he was leaving the woman whose brother was banished after attempting harm to the king's baby, he would walk away with no consequences. It mattered not whether people believed it. History would record it as truth. It was then I realized that he was the one behind it all. Tell me, Aldrich, how much money did you provide these poor people to put the blame on my family, rather than your trusted confidants?
You are insane, Bronwyn.
Am I? Maybe it was not money you offered. Just threats.
You cannot control your brother, and you cannot control yourself.
You seek to destroy us.
Would you rather I destroy them?
In a fit of rage, Aldrich pointed at the trembling couple.
Because that was my choice. Execute the liars my camp brought to save the woman I love, or further tarnish the reputation of someone who deserves to be tarnished.
Surprisingly, I found myself smiling. I had triggered the truth in Aldrich. He stood there, trembling himself. It felt good to be right. I turned to Gendry and Demetria. You do not owe King Aldrich your lives. They are owed to Lord Oscar Troby. With that, I turned to leave the tower and return to my chambers. I knew that I needed to act fast. Upon returning to my chambers, I beckoned my trusted knight, Sir Artemis. Please confirm the location of all the king's secretaries. Artemis looked bewildered, but he bowed and left to carry out my request. I sat in the parlour, anxiously awaiting his return. After about half an hour, he entered with his report. There was only one person who was absent.
Marquis Carlson is not in the palace.
Where is he?
I do not know. He said he would be out of the palace for a few days. But he did not say why, only that he was ordered to depart.
It was obvious to me that Marquis Carlson went to the High Priest with a petition under Aldrich's orders. For the king to get a divorce, he must first file an application with the High Priest. The High Priest would then come and talk in person with Aldrich. Very well. If you'll excuse me, I'd like to be alone. I went into my bedroom and took out some stationery. I sat down at my desk and began penning a letter to Henry. The letter was long, but the contents were simple. I was struck with a sudden, terrible thought. No queen or empress in history ever remarried after divorce, and Aldrich would likely try to stop my remarriage. If I wanted things to go smoothly, then, when the High Priest came, I should obtain clear consent for remarriage. I needed to give Henry a warning of my plan. After I finished writing my letter, I placed it in an envelope and sealed it with wax. I returned to the parlour room before the seal was even dry. Sir Artemis.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Give this to Marquis Ferring and tell him to send this by messenger bird. Wherever he is, find him. I extended the letter to Sir Artemis. I added no other explanation. Marquis Ferring would know what to do.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Sir Artemis took the letter with both hands and quickly left. The ladies in waiting were looking on, worried after his departure. But I could tell them nothing. The less they knew, the better. There was already a leak concerning my dress. This was more important than a dress, and so my actions had to be carried out as carefully as possible. I am sorry. After everything is settled, I will explain. For several days thereafter, I found myself in a daze. I busied myself more than ever, not because my schedule was packed, but because I had many things to finish before getting divorced. Rose would be the next queen. She would have to hold audiences and set up budgets for the palace. She would run my orphanages, free hospitals and meal services. I worried not just for my own future, but for the future of my people. She was not up to the task. The commoners cheered for Rose. She was the heroine that they loved and admired. And yet, she would be their downfall. As I sat in my quarters, deep in thought, an unexpected visit from Duke Energy took me by surprise. His arrival was as perplexing as his demeanor.
You definitely show when you're uncomfortable.
I masked my confusion with a smile, adhering to the courtesies befitting a queen, despite my reservations about his motives. What brings you here, Duke Energy? In his typical elusive manner, he ignored my question. He casually inspected my desk, cluttered with documents.
What's the reason for all these papers?
It's just work. State your reason for this visit, Duke. I'm in no mood for games. Duke Elegy maintained his silence, his gaze intense and unreadable. Why do you look at me so? This is most uncomfortable. Duke Elegy glanced up at the ceiling in a gesture of contemplation, then shook his head.
You're going to kill me out of guilt.
Guilt? Duke Elegy offered no further explanation. Instead, his enigmatic gaze lingered on me.
Please excuse me, Your Majesty.
He gave a slight bow and departed. His mysterious behavior left me more puzzled than ever, but I had no time to dwell on it. Sir Artemis still absent and looming inevitably of divorce, and the High Priest's visit. My responsibilities as queen demanded my full attention. I resumed my work. Eliza, please bring me a snack. I need something that will sustain me through the long hours ahead. Right away, Your Majesty. The following day, the arrival of the High Priest sent whispers of speculation through the palace. His presence was a clear indication of significant developments, and his refusal to attend even the New Year ball only heightened the sense of urgency. Soon, news reached me of a private meeting between the High Priest and Aldrich, sending a chill down my spine. The gravity of the situation was undeniable. I steadied myself, determined to remain strong. I clung to the hope that Henry had not wavered in his proposal. I reminded myself that there were always moves to be made, and pathways to be found. My future with Aldrich wouldn't deter me. I resolved to face whatever challenges lay ahead, with the poise and determination of a queen.
The High Priest, clad in his ceremonial robes, gazed solemnly at King Aldrich, his thoughts drifting back to the day he wed Aldrich and Bronwyn. He recalled the youthful exuberance of the couple, their playful banter still fresh in his mind.
King Aldrich, I remember your wedding as if it were yesterday. You and Queen Bronwyn, such young souls, jested with each other. You both declared, he's the chick, I'm the eagle, and she's the chick, and I'm the eagle. Such a delightful pair.
Aldrich, sitting across from him, appeared to be the epitome of regal stature, his posture relaxed yet commanding. Despite his majestic appearance, the High Priest saw the lingering shadows of the young groom in his eyes.
It was a day of joy. You carrying the young Bronwyn on your back when her feet tired from her shoes, the laughter of the people. I was certain yours was a future filled with happiness. But now, divorce. This word seems so foreign when thinking of you two. Please, tell me I'm mistaken.
It is true. I intend to divorce the Queen.
King Aldrich, I must ask you, no, I must beg you to reconsider. I have read the divorce papers, but the Queen is not at fault.
Aldrich's face remained impassive. She did not intend to cause it, but nevertheless, she is the cause. I cannot control Oscar, and neither can she.
You are not married to her brother, Your Majesty.
The High Priest leaned forward, his eyes searching Aldrich's face.
And what of this talk of infertility? Surely there must be more to this.
What I'm about to tell you cannot leave these walls. The High Priest braced himself. He had always thought the infertility a mere excuse, a convenient reason without substance. Aldrich, however, seemed to hold a deeper truth, one that made the High Priest uneasy. Aldrich took a deep breath, his voice lowering. It all began when I was still the Crown Prince. The room fell into a heavy silence as Aldrich prepared to reveal a truth that could change everything the High Priest thought he knew about the royal couple's seemingly perfect union. The air was thick with tension, the weight of impending revelations hanging over them like a dark cloud. King Aldrich began the story that would take them back to Aldrich and Bronwyn's wedding day. In the midst of preparations for a grand public appearance, young Crown Prince Aldrich found himself in a heated conversation with the official in charge of the event. His frustration was evident as he argued about the dietary restrictions imposed on Princess Bronwyn.
Why must Bronwyn's diet be restricted so? A skirt will cover her belly. What does it matter if she's a bit fuller? Your Highness, both of you must appear in peak condition. The realm expects perfection from its future rulers.
Aldrich sighed, knowing well the weight of expectations on their young shoulders. He, too, was subjected to a strict regime. Limited meals on top of arduous sword practice and nightly training. But he knew Bronwyn drew her strength from hearty meals. Resolute to find a solution, Aldrich decided to seek his mother, the Queen, for assistance. He entered the Queen's chambers, only to find them empty, but a box of appetizing cookies caught his eye, half wrapped in shiny paper and silk ribbons. Glancing around to ensure no one was watching, Aldrich's resolve wavered. The temptation proved too great. He grabbed the box and quickly made his escape, ignoring the maid's call as he rushed to Bronwyn's room.
Bronwyn!
Her face lit up with a bright smile, and she ran towards him.
What is it, Your Highness?
Eat! It is a gift from my mother. You need sustenance for the ceremony.
Bronwyn didn't hesitate, her delight evident as she savored the forbidden treat.
You should have some too. We can have a cookie picnic.
No, I'll be okay. You eat. I want you to feel strong.
Bronwyn, aware of Aldrich's own restrictions, pressed a cookie to his lips.
If I eat all these alone, he'll know I'm not fasting. Let's do this together and we can share the blame. I know this is not a gift from the Queen, and I thank you.
Together, the two young royals indulged in the cookies, a moment of joyful rebellion against the strictures of court life. However, their joy was short-lived. Moments later, Aldrich faced the wrath of his mother, the Queen.
No, Aldrich, you mustn't eat those. Those cookies were for Countess Sophie.
Countess Sophie, the king's favoured concubine, was a thorn in Aldrich's side.
Oh, but why give that nasty woman sweets? We can make more if it's absolutely necessary.
The Queen sat in her chair solemnly.
Aldrich, you must understand. Marriage can be wonderful at times and heartbreaking at others. There are choices that may seem barbaric and awful, yet they do not come from us being monsters, but humans. Those cookies contained a drug that I had secretly concocted that would cause miscarriage. While the results are effective, in some tests it could lead to infertility.
Aldrich's eyes widened in horror. The Queen, the reasons for her anxiety clear, pressed for the truth.
Aldrich, you must tell me. Did you eat them? And Bronwyn, did she partake?
Aldrich, realizing the gravity of the situation, chose to protect Bronwyn.
I ate them alone. I know I should have asked you, but I was so hungry. I offered them to her, but she refused.
The Queen studied him. She knew his heart raced with fear and guilt. The weight of her decision to force a miscarriage on her husband's concubine had come back to pierce her heart, in a way she would have to live with throughout the rest of her days. With tears in her eyes, she left Aldrich with tender words.
Aldrich, I love you, and I am so proud of you. Please, learn from your mistakes.
In the somber confines of his chambers, Aldrich revealed the truth to the high priest, his voice heavy with the weight of years of secrecy. Aldrich's hand pressed against his temple, his eyes closed in distress. The side effects of the drug do not manifest in everyone. For years, I thought I would be unaffected, having only eaten the cookies once. My mother used a substantial amount of the drug, but Bronwyn and I were young and healthy. Our diets were secretly altered with ingredients meant to counteract the drug's effects. Aldrich's voice trailed off as he contemplated the years that followed, marked by the absence of children. As an adult, I often pondered whether our childlessness was a result of the drug's effect on either the Queen or myself, or perhaps both of us. The certainty came only after Rose became pregnant. It became clear then that the Queen must be barren. The high priest listened with a somber expression, absorbing the tragic revelation. The Queen's inability to conceive, a consequence of an unwitting mistake from her youth, was a cruel twist of fate. The former Queen, my mother, was already entangled in scandals. This incident would only add to her infamy. To protect her honor, I've remained silent.
It's peculiar. Ordinarily, a queen would replace a crown princess deemed infertile as a precaution. Perhaps your mother had a fondness for Bronwyn.
She did. A fondness she rarely shared for anyone. High Priest, I cannot abandon my own flesh and blood. My child with Rose must be protected. The High Priest sighed deeply, understanding the complexity of Aldrich's situation. A painful decision born out of a desire to shield his unborn child and protect his mother's legacy, even if it meant sacrificing his marriage to Bronwyn. The weight of the crown was never heavier than in moments like these, where personal desires clashed with the harsh demands of royalty.
Sitting in my chambers, the words on the document before me blurred together, failing to penetrate the whirlwind of emotions swirling in my mind. Despite my attempts to focus, my thoughts drifted incessantly to the private meeting between the High Priest and Aldrich. What were they discussing? What decisions were being made that would irrevocably alter my future? 3 excruciating hours later, Countess Eliza's voice cut through my reverie, bringing a momentary sense of relief. Your Majesty, the High Priest has requested to see you. Why would the High Priest want to see me? I'm not sure, Your Majesty, but he is here now. Very well, Eliza. Send him in. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for the impending conversation. Countess Eliza quietly exited the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The door opened again, and the high priest entered. I couldn't help but recall the gentle humor in his eyes during our wedding ceremony, now replaced by the weight of passing years and grave responsibility. His white beard and the lines on his face spoke of the passage of time. He closed the door and paused, observing me silently. His gaze, once warm and playful, now trembled with the burden of his news. Despite my attempt at a smile, the air hung heavy between us. "Please have a seat." He approached me with a heaviness in his step, the gravity of his visit evident in each movement. "So it has come to this."
Yes, Queen Bronwyn, you and King Aldrich were once so close. You had filled this palace with so much love.
"We had, but it was just a sandcastle." The high priest's lips pressed together tightly, signaling his internal struggle.
I so want to refute these words, Your Majesty. I tried to speak with the king. I had hoped to lighten the areas of darkness.
"Thank you, high priest. Aldrich has moved on. I'm merely a chapter in his past." Countess Eliza returned with tea and cookies, setting them down with a concerned glance. She left quietly, allowing us privacy. The high priest, however, seemed to ignore the refreshments, his focus unbroken. "Countess Eliza knows these are my favourite. She brings them when she senses I'm in need of that small moment of comfort. She has brought them often in recent days."
They look delicious, but I am not hungry.
He shook his head, his eyes fixating on the cookies with an intensity that surprised me. Was there something about the cookies that troubled him? The high priest's words echoed with a sombre finality.
King Aldrich has stated the grounds for the divorce are because the Queen's brother, Lord Oscar, pushed his pregnant concubine, kidnapped and harmed Viscount Rothescue to find out the concubine's weakness, and bribed fake parents to scam her.
That's all nonsense. I refuse to accept such baseless accusations. Only a coward would hide behind the truth. He is divorcing me because he has found a replacement.
Yes, and because the Queen is infertile, King Aldrich must protect the concubine's baby.
Again, that's nonsense. Just because we have yet to produce an heir does not mean I am incapable. The high priest sighed deeply, his expression fraught with concern. I cannot and will not accept any of it. If he must divorce me for his own desires, so be it. I have endured pain before, though never like this.
Your Majesty, why have you two grown so far apart?
There is only one reason. The king's heart went to someone else like his father before him. That is all.
So be it. I will proceed with the divorce process, but this will not be easy for you. Do you understand?
The abyss of pain has all but made me numb thus far. I expect nothing else at this point.
Your Majesty, before I go, I feel inclined to mention one thing.
Yes?
If you decide to search for means of improving your odds of bearing children, proceed with the utmost caution. There are rumblings of dark forces we do not yet understand, offering things much desired that can lead to terrifying consequences.
After the high priest departed, I consumed the cookies he had left untouched, then returned to my desk. My heart calm despite the gravity of his message. My composure remained unshaken, even in the face of adversity. Your Majesty, Sir Artemis has returned. Thank you, Laura. Please let him in. My knight's appearance was dishevelled and weary. a stark contrast to his usual meticulous presentation. He collapsed onto a chair.
Your Majesty, I am truly sorry.
It is okay. Can I offer you tea? I refrained from bombarding him with questions, instead waiting patiently as he accepted a cup of tea from my lady-in-waiting Penelope. Once alone, he finally spoke.
Marquis Faring had taken off so fast, and it had taken longer than expected to catch up to him. But I managed to deliver the letter to him before he crossed the border.
But he received it?
Yes. If Marquis Faring was travelling at the speed he did then, he should have crossed the border into the Celestial Isles by now. In fact, he may already be in the capital.
So the letter was delivered, but I'm afraid it is too late. The High Priest's visit concluded earlier. The divorce court would soon convene. King Henry, despite the delivered letter, could not possibly arrive in time to alter the course of events. It appears my fate is sealed, Sir Artemis.
In the dimly lit chamber, Viscount Rothescue brooded over his indignation toward Rose. Alone in his bed, he muttered to himself,
"Oh, Rose, you have bit the hand that feeds you for the last time."
He sneered as he blew his nose roughly into the blanket, his mind spinning with thoughts of retribution.
She will know how it feels to fall from grace. She will bend to my will.
Just then, his son Alan walked past the room, cradling the infant Isidore in his arms. The baby, bearing a striking resemblance to Rose, giggled and cooed in response to Alan's gentle sounds.
How can he love this child? It can never bear our name. It is all but a tool at the end of the day.
But as he observed the interaction, a cunning idea dawned upon him.
Yes, the child is Rose's Achilles' heel. Alan, bring Isidore to me.
Alan approached cautiously, confusion etched on his face. What is it, father?
Let me hold him.
Are you sure, father? The baby, unaware of the tension, reached out to Viscount Rothescue with a bright smile. The Viscount, masking his malicious intent with a warm smile, uttered softly,
"Oh, you precious child. Yes, I am your grandfather. You really are the answer I have been looking for."
Father, I'm overjoyed to see you like this. I must ask, what has brought this change of heart?
At that moment, there was a slight knock at the door. The air chilled in the house. It was as if happiness in the room was sucked out like a vacuum. The baby in Rothescue's arms began to fuss. Rothescue knew who it must be. Liliana opened the door to the Oracle, who made her way slowly up the stairs.
My Lady Oracle, what brings you at this hour?
The time is upon us. You have a debt I have come to collect.
So soon? I thought it to be years.
The king has put his divorce from the Queen in motion.
It can't be. A divorce? With the Queen?
The High Priest has interviewed both the king and the Queen separately. The divorce will pass shortly.
Rothescue absorbed this information, his mind racing with the implications.
It's because of Rose, isn't it? The king is completely enamored with her.
It is as I told you it would be.
The Oracle opened her arms and reached out to Rothescue. He had known what he agreed to, but he could not give up his grandson just yet. The child was the ticket to his salvation that he needed so badly.
Oracle, I beg of you, just give me a little more time. Soon there will be more resources I'm sure you will need. Allow me this time, and much will be available to us.
The oracle looked at Rothescue for a few moments, then made her decision.
Very well. You have until the full moon. Within 1 week's time. Then I will be back to collect what is hers. A word of warning, Viscount. She can reach you, even here.
The oracle's words send a shiver down Rothescue's spine. She looked at Alan and proceeded down the steps, passing Liliana, who turned to the door upstairs, curious as to what had transpired.
Father, who was that? And what was she expecting? Alan, you and this child have made me proud. The king and queen will be getting a divorce, and life as we know it will begin to change. You will need to trust me in the days ahead.
Alan looked at his father, terrified. This is not how he wished to achieve his father's approval. Liliana, who had also overheard the conversation, stood frozen, a cup of tea in her hand, her eyes wide with shock.
The king seeks divorce. That's impossible.
The cup slipped from her grasp and shattered on the floor. Alan jumped at the sudden crash, while Liliana, without a word, turned and hurried from the room, her mind swirling with panic and disbelief.
Liliana, wait!
Stricken suddenly with a shooting pain, Rothescue collapsed to the floor with a thud, unable to stop Liliana. Liliana, driven by her admiration for the queen, hurried to the palace. Her tears flowed freely as she pleaded with the guards.
Please, I must see the queen. You have seen me here before. You must know she will agree to see me.
Moved by her distress, a guard summoned Countess Eliza. Countess Eliza, Miss Liliana is here in tears requesting an audience with Her Majesty immediately. Countess Eliza, recognizing the urgency of the situation, quickly conveyed the message to Queen Bronwyn. The palace, already a hive of whispers and rumors, braced itself for what could be a turning point in its history. In the parlor room, the air was heavy with tension and unshed tears. Queen Bronwyn, maintaining her composure, faced Liliana, whose emotions were spilling over in the form of tears and trembling words.
Liliana, what troubles you so? Your Majesty, is it really true? Are you truly to be divorced?
The question hung in the air, and the ladies in waiting exchanged anxious glances. Countess Eliza, trying to maintain decorum, interjected.
Liliana, it is unseemly to speak of such matters.
Bronwyn raised her hand, silencing her.
It's all right, Countess. Truth should not be shrouded in whispers.
Turning to Liliana, she affirmed gently.
Yes, it is true. No!
The shock was palpable. The ladies converged around Bronwyn, their questions overlapping in a chorus of concern and disbelief.
Is this why the High Priestess was here? The king is asking for a divorce. You cannot let this happen.
Amidst the chaos, Liliana, wiping away her tears, spoke up with unexpected boldness.
It's because of Rose, isn't it? I prayed when she left our estate that she would be gone from our lives for good. She had been a bad omen for us, bringing nothing but pain into our lives. I know she is the reason for all of this.
The room fell into a tense silence, each person grappling with the implication of her words. Before Bronwyn could respond, Liliana's voice cut through the silence, filled with a fierce resolve.
I will avenge you, your majesty, I swear it. Rose will know revenge.